Rose. Yep. Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome to today's council meeting, Tuesday the 26th of November. Gosh, I don't know where the year's gone, to be fair, but I just wanted to acknowledge Vince, that you covered for the last couple of weeks when I was away. I'm appreciative of that. And I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's I just wanted to share a little bit about the journey that I went on. We stayed 9 nights mostly in Ypres and attended the significant event on the 11th of the 11th, and I was privileged to represent on our behalf of our district and lay a wreath at the Menin Gate alongside also Dan did as well, Mayor Dan, and international diplomats from across the world. So it was quite special really to have that opportunity in such a significant or place of significance really. And there were two or three other events where I had also that opportunity to represent you and us as a district, which was very special. But it also was very, very sobering to visit all of the war graves from World War I. I mean, we all know that history, we all understand the loss, but to physically see and feel that significant loss that our country and other countries actually was truly something that I'll just take forever. It was unbelievable. Also had the opportunity to visit the museum at Passchendaele, and also the Liberation Museum Te Arawhata, which is in Le Quesnoy, which is also a place that has Le Quesnoy has long ties with New Zealand, and many of you will know because I've spoken about that, but one of our residents, Andy Fox's grandfather, was the first man to climb the wall at Le Quesnoy, which actually secured the town. And so one event that I was at, we were roped off in a roped off section, and two ladies to my left across the ropes tapped me on the shoulder, and I just spoke to her, and she wanted to take a photograph, and she said, "Where are you from?" And I said who I was and why I was there representing our district in the South Island, New Zealand. And so she took this photograph, and I really it was as brief a conversation as that, but she was just absolutely delighted. She was a local, and within about 3 days on my council email, I received this photograph and a photograph of the two women. So, the real connection between the people of Belgium and New Zealand is very is very strong, and we had an amazing tour going to the Commonwealth War Graves at Tynecott, Polygon Wood, Crest Farm, Notre Dame, where they have this new memorial. It's this massive ring that you walk around, and there's something like 700,000 names alphabetically without acknowledging rank or file around this ring. It's unbelievable. So, really special to represent you all, and I'm grateful that you gave me that couple of weeks away to do that on behalf of you all. So thank you. With that, we've had some work to do today, and we're somewhat time bound. We need to probably remain reasonably disciplined in our approach to our agenda today. Our aim is to be finished by 2 p.m. so we can have a visit as elected members to the Birdsong project, which would also allow our staff to get this room organised for our citizenship ceremony at 3:30. So, and our first presentation, we have a deputation from Mr. John Wires in regard to Eastern Reserve at 9:30. So I'd like to be able to get through some of these minutes beforehand. Anyway, health and safety for this room, you've all been here before, but our exits are as identified. Our assembly point is over there by the tennis courts, and the bathrooms are over in the those two doors over there. Thank you. We're all here, which is fantastic. So we've got no apologies to receive. Normal procedure, we will begin with our affirmation. As council, we pledge that we will faithfully and impartially use our skills, wisdom and judgment throughout the discussions and deliberations ahead of us today, in order to make responsible and appropriate decisions for the benefit of Hiranui District at large. We commit individually and as council to the principles of integrity and respect, and to upholding the values that we believe distinguish and enrich our district. Thank you. Councillors, in regard to the items on today's agenda, is there any conflicts of interest that needs to be noted? No, thank you. We have a recording device, Graham, and live streamed.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And there is one urgent business or separately circulated, and that's the late PE item 8.3, which you've all received. Is that correct? Yep. Have we got paper copies?
Oh, I've got paper copies, Madam Mayor, if anyone needs them.
Okay.
It's been emailed.
Yep, that's great. Thank you. Rightio, we'll move through the, oh, sorry.
I'm not sure, at what point a leave of absence with December, was that in the apologies? I should have done that, or?
No, have you got, you'd like to apply for a leave of absence? We can do that now.
Yeah, on that, I'm not sure if I'll be here next Tuesday on the 11th, all of December.
So the council meeting on the, okay, so if you can confirm those dates with Graham, can someone please, thank you Karen, thank you Gary, that we approve that leave of absence. Perhaps if we just get those confirmed dates, Dave, all in agreement to that, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried, thank you. Okay, so page 4 in your agenda pack, we've got the minutes of the council meeting on the 29th of October. If I can quickly just work through a page turn and then we'll go back for matters arising from that. So page 4 and 5, 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17. And 18, sorry. Okay. You've all read those. Is there any, someone like to move then that we received those minutes as a true and accurate record? Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Pauline. All in agreement to that, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, that's carried. Thank you. So likewise, we'll just do a quick page turn if there's matters arising from those minutes. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you.
Yeah, look, I'm just back on page 4. Last meeting I asked about whether there was an update in regards to the election promise of the Great Walk. And I know it's on the work programme, and I did see that there was a large announcement about another election promise that's close to our district this week, and I just wondered if there was any progress on following that through.
So through Madam Mayor, I've written to Stuart Smith. He responded and he's raised the issue with the Minister of Conservation.
Thank you, pleased to hear that. Thank you, Hamish.
Great, thank you. So page 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh. Sorry, I just a question. I'm sorry, I just need to double check my scribble. So that was on page 12, and this is in regard to the Maskell's Row. Can I just ask, maybe that's of you, Hamish, do we have a set time frame to hear back from that 75% threshold of people? Did we tie that down, or is...
No, you didn't tie that down, but
No.
we'll have to go out. I'm not quite sure what stage we're up to at the moment on this one, Madam Mayor. I'll have to check with Dan.
Okay. I think that it would be useful to have a relatively tight time frame. That's probably my thoughts anyway, when we make that communication in a formal matter to those, to the residents. So thank you. Somebody else?
I arranged an ops meeting the other day.
Oh, beg your pardon, sorry. Okay, so page 12, 13, 14, And I've just got a wee scribble here note for me, and that's on the Amberley Beach residents. Do we have an update? Have we got any update on that?
No.
No, okay.
Well, just on page 5, the Silver Fern Rally, I wonder, is there any feedback? I'm wondering when would the roads be graded, because I tweaked a bit of drizzle on Thursday.
I'm pretty sure we've received an email from,
That wasn't for that rally.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
oh, different rally.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
the
beg your
previous
pardon.
ones, but I can follow that up with the roading administration officer,
Okay,
and get some information.
The roads,
Yeah.
there's a lot of cars on it. I know one road that's space.
okay, Graham will follow that through, thank you.
Madam Mayor, on that subject, in relation to the feedback that we request, I understand from other sources that in fact 2 of the stages were cancelled. And I don't know whether that was due to road conditions or what the issue was. So it would be interesting to understand that.
Okay,
I understand 2 of the roads that were meant to be the rally stages actually just got turned into a touring drive because for some reason they could not proceed with them as special stages. I suspect it was in our district because it was on the first day of the event.
right,
But if we just ask or probe
Yeah,
for
okay.
that in what we ask for.
sorry, can you follow that through for us, Graham?
Okay.
Thank you, because I'm kind of a wee bit,
I know I did some work behind the scenes, and there was a problem, but I think that was solved.
Okay. And again, thank you.
okay, well, let's hear from the roading team, they'll be all over it, and we can just get an email to give a shared understanding for councillors. You all comfortable with that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. So let's go back to page 14 and 15, matters arising 16, 17, 18. Okay, thank you, councillors. That takes you through to the meeting on the 5th of November. So I was obviously absent to this meeting. So perhaps Vince, you've read through, councillors, you've read through those minutes. Is there any matters of accuracy on page 19 through to 22?
Yeah, under health and safety, it says that Mayor Black outlined the health and safety procedures. Underneath it, it says that you're on leave of absence. I think it was done.
Trick?
Media Valley.
Yeah,
Be in 2 places at once.
The reach is far.
that's good. We'll get that tidied off. Yeah. Slip of the tongue is no fault of the mind, Graham. Don't worry about it. That's fine. So I'm looking to councillors that were present with that correction. Is there any other corrections? Have you got your hand up? You're happy to move it, Graham? Thank you, Vince. So we've got Gary and Vince. Agree that those be taken as a true and accurate record with that minor adjustment. All in agreement to that, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? That's carried. Thank you. Is there any matters arising from that?
Just on page 20, I went to the annual meeting of the down in Christchurch.
Oh, the Waitaha,
Yeah.
PHO. Yeah, that's right.
It's just mainly was the same really format that we were given. Really would be recommended.
Great, thank you.
Do you want to speak about the museum at all?
You want to? Yes,
Or do you want me to?
yeah. I'm comfortable, yeah. So from the
So
briefing? Yep.
Just an update from the briefing for the museum. The other councils have now had their updates and are considering, how they respond to their updates.
And I think there's a there's a meeting scheduled, Zoom meeting on the 16th of December with the contributing mayors. And are you in that as well?
No, some of the chief executives were not invited.
Oh, I see. Okay. So, so Sam initiated that, Sam from Selwyn. So, I'm guessing it'll be the contributing council. So, but it's on the 16th of December. So I'll keep posted. I don't know the tone of it. I haven't spoken to Sam about it. So, any other questions around that? Anything else as far as the museum goes? So,
Sorry, no.
no, something different.
Matter or
Tell us. Yep.
on page, well, it's page 132. And going or keeping the council updated regarding Carbon Lab group submission for the presentation. And review it. So obviously we haven't had anything at this stage, but I'd certainly be keen to have an update. However that comes to us.
So Greg has subsequently presented to the Hammond Springs Community Board, but I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know how that went.
Okay, so we'll just keep that as an active matters arising. Are you happy with that, Ross? Thank you. So if there's no other matters arising in regard to that set of minutes, we'll move on, and I'll ask, I guess, Vince, Ross and Tom were members, Tom's just back in the room, for the temporary road closure subcommittee meeting, which was held on Tuesday, the 5th of November. So if we can just work through those, is there anything noted in those minutes that, or is it a true and accurate record of that discussion? I'm just looking for Vince, and you're happy to move that's true and accurate. Thank you, Vince. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ross. All in agreement that we receive those as a true and accurate record, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? That's carried. Thank you. So that hasn't happened. Oh, this event hasn't happened yet? Yes, it has happened, sorry. Yep. So I've got nothing to follow up from that.
Through the chair, may I just very briefly advise councillors, just wanted to provide a very quick update. Vince and I attended the combined sector meeting, LGNZ in Wellington on Thursday and Friday. In the interest of time, I won't actually mention what was discussed now, but I will send in relevant points through to my fellow councillors. It was a really, really good day. It was political porn for me, Shane Jones. So I will,
Okay,
good stuff.
so you'll just send out a briefing. Yeah, that's great. So we'll just receive that by email. Thank you. That's excellent. So that's covered off the minutes, councillors. We just look at the forward work program. Really just takes us through to the end of the year. So is there anything else that you want to add to that? We've got the diary on page 26 and then the working group. So is there any discussion on any of those points? So anything more, Judith, as far as the Queen Mary Hospital Reserve?
No, the next steps were in the paper and the agenda. There is a site meeting this Thursday, Friday, where we have workshops and fundraising agency and Ngāti will come in over the course of the 2 days.
Yeah.
To have a look around and to do some planning. And we do now have the stage 1 of the concept design for the workshop, which is interesting and exciting. So things continue to progress well.
Wonderful.
Multiple projects now.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Any other discussion, councillors? Someone like to move that we receive the forward work program, the Mayor's diary and the working group status? Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Tom. All in agreement that we receive that information, please say aye. Aye. Those against, that's carried. Thank you. So we do have Mr. Wires. Mr. Wires? Wires, sorry. So we'll just carry on with some of our work until 9:30. Decision item is on page 28 of your agenda. Want us to carry on?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Judith, you can speak to this paper, thank you.
Where charitable
Trust has been circulated to councillors. The report goes into a bit of detail explaining the reason for the need for the charitable trust. And so this paper seeks the appointment of a trustee to the Queen Mary Historic Reserve. It's got a very long name. Queen Mary Historic Reserve Charitable Trust. Of the resolution. I'm getting some musical accompaniment to my thoughts.
That's right.
John. Perhaps that's just me.
I'll have to call you John.
You can indeed.
Thank you.
I prefer that.
Thank you, John. Look, welcome. You know the convention for a deputation. We have allocated 10 minutes and then there will be 5 minutes for question time. It isn't a chance for debate or deliberation, but it's a chance for councillors to listen and to clarify anything that they've heard with you for over the next 10 minutes. So with that, the time is yours and we're all here to listen. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Mayor and councillors, thank you for your time today and the opportunity to speak. And I know you do have a busy day today, so I'll try and be as quickly as I can. I'm here today to speak on behalf of the Amberley Eastern Reserve submissions for the recreational reserve. And I want to start with asking a couple of questions. Is this a sports ground or is it a recreational reserve? The submissions process showed the community want a recreational reserve. Planning shows that this is a sports ground with a token gesture to recreation. And parking and roading appear to have a bigger representation in this plan than recreation does. Do councillors consider it fair to spend almost the entire budget that was allocated for the reserve on a sports ground? It would appear that the spend required for this would consume 90% of available funds and consume about 70% of the total area for this for a club that, to the best of my knowledge, is still not a registered club. To put things into perspective in terms of cost and spending, the football club have a membership of 120 plus, have a container for a club room, and have to find their own funds, mainly through fundraising, to maintain the ground. Without the sports ground, the budget would complete the entire reserve to a standard we could all be proud of. Cricket is currently utilising their original home at the Domain and have played 3 games in the last month. This indicates there is no reason why the 2 clubs cannot coexist and that the ground can continue to be used. I know there was some major issues around that whole domain between the clubs, but when we look at that, we're going back 10 years. And I think it's time it was resolved. The ground, in our opinion, the domain is well and truly capable of supporting the sports that play there. And so why you would want to move that out into a recreational area is another question. Do councillors think it is fair when the public submissions they ask for show that the majority of respondents want a recreational reserve that fits with the demographics of the community and a space to relax, walk and play? And I think the demographics here is really important. There's no question that the demographics in Amberley is that there is an ageing community. I look around this room, I can see that it's clearly we're well represented here. Me included. Sorry about that, Vanessa. And that trend, I think, is going to continue. Amberley is definitely, I mean, I'm fairly new here, and a lot of people I speak to on a daily basis, and new people coming in all the time. And it tends, I think it's trending in that direction. Fortunately, we've also got quite a good lot of young families to balance it a little bit, but then they have the same issues that the older people have, and that's somewhere where people can go and enjoy some open space in safety and in groups. Do councillors think it is fair to put the cost of the establishment of a new sports ground ahead of providing the services and equipment needed for recreational reserve that will be available to the whole community? As previously stated, to create a sports ground would consume about 90% of the available, leaving only 10%. And we know what will happen, that 10%, once that money's been used, I mean, these are tough economic times. It's not simple to get funding these days. And that could take years to recoup the funds necessary to complete what really could be completed in the first place. if you take into consideration the number of people who put in submissions, to the best of my ability to get these numbers, cricket support appeared to be about 20 submissions and recreational reserve approximately 110. And this can hardly be considered fair to the whole community. I ask you, Madam Mayor and councillors, is your failure to listen to your community in breach of the S10 (1) (a) of the Local Government Act? Do councillors think it is fair when a functioning, well-patronised club with a growing membership, which services the needs of this growing demographic, is ignored in this process? Croquet is growing nationally and Amberley already has a strong following and as a light sport and leisure activity that can be played by all ages, and it's a great exercise for older people. And yet it's been completely, when I happened to get a glimpse of the latest proposal or concept plan, nothing on there at all to support that. And I thought, well, why is that? Why are we ignoring something that is what I believe an important part of this whole process? And I guess we can say that this is just a concept drawing, and that would be, if I started to question it, I'm sure that would be the answer. John, it's just a concept. And I say it's a fine line between concept and intent. If a plan that was more representative of the actual complete design, it would remove some of that speculation. I would also question the need for car parking or a road and a reserve. It's hard enough to get spaces like this, and even if the land was not needed for any particular purpose at the time, it should be retained as green space and planted. The population will continue to grow and we will need more space and facilities for the future. There is ample space around the perimeter that can be turned into parking. I think this shows a lack of thought and priority from the people creating these plans. I ask councillors to consider what is fair. Is it fair to create another sports ground? Or is it fair to provide the community the outdoor space they want for themselves and their families, for leisure, where they can relax, enjoy the outdoors with their families and friends? As I've already said, Amberley is growing and we will need the space. If the demographics continue as they are, it will be even more important. Do these councillors not concern themselves with fairness for the community? In closing, I would urge you to not ignore this feedback. I'm not alone. Today I am speaking on behalf of the people who vote for you and trust you to make the right decisions on their behalf, and I would ask you to not let them down. Thank you.
Thanks, John. We listened with intent on your deputation here today, but I'll just check in with councillors to see if we've got any questions to clarify what they've heard. So just around the room, questions of John? Nothing?
Right.
Your voice must have been clearly articulated, so well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's great. So councillors, you're aware that we do have those decisions a little bit further in our agenda today, and we've got a little bit to get through before we get to that point. So I will now perhaps take us back to the decision for the Soldiers Block Charitable Trust, the appointment of a council trustee and the agree in principle to lease the building to the trust. So Judith has answered some questions. I think I know I stopped Vanessa just before we took the deputation. So we'll go back to that point now.
Through the chair, I would like to move that we accept the officer recommendation.
And appoint a councillor. Are we looking? Can I just clarify that position? Is the recommendation just to appoint a person, and then we need to work through a process of who that person might be?
My expectation, Madam Mayor, is that you decide on that person today.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, yeah. So we need to, so there's probably, just to be clear, we're looking to appoint accept the fact that we would like to have a council trustee on the Queen Mary Historic Reserve Charitable Trust, Hamlet Springs, but we also need to determine who that person should be, given the discussion that's already been held around the duration of the trusteeship. Yeah.
So I misread that. I understood that the process to choose that person would follow at a later date.
Yeah.
That's a good, Pauline and Gary.
Yeah, thank you. So Pauline and then Gary, thank you.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I guess I was just going to clarify, to move forward and appoint today would suggest that we would appoint a councillor rather than it being council appointed, you know, as in the example of the museum, because we obviously haven't approached anybody else. So to move forward today and make an appointment today would limit us to our councillor, or would seem to me to limit us to our councillor group. And I just was interested in how other people felt about that.
I think it's really important that as a council, we continue to have a strong dotted line into this trust, but particularly in the formation of, given that there will be independent members that will be appointed to that trust as per the trust deed. So my opinion, for what it's worth, is that I think that we need to have a dotted line from this group of elected people into that trusteeship from the formation of. But I'm in your hands, if that makes sense. So we're looking to get that appointment. Robbie?
Yes, I maybe misunderstood.
Oh, beg your pardon, sorry.
I
Beg your pardon.
can follow, Robert.
Sorry.
I'm just saying, I think I probably misunderstood that too, that the decision to put someone on, or as opposed to doing it now, because I kind of thought that there would be some options or nominees or something come forward, and, you know, we would go through that, would be another process, but if we're doing it today, that's different.
Yeah. Okay, well, my apologies, Gary.
And I'm on the same thing,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, in the sense that I think we need to understand, out of Judith, out of yourself perhaps as well, what are the actual qualities or strengths we're looking for potentially in the nominee? Do they need council experience? Is it governance experience? Is it commercial and business experience? Is it community connections, et cetera, et cetera? And out of that, we need to shape who is the best fit to meet the requirements of the trust. Because we sit here right now and put names on the table. I'm not sure that we're doing and I equally, and I'm raising the point because I misread as well, because I thought if we were actually looking for names, we would have maybe inputting to yourself or to Judith potential people. So we had a group to consider. I'm not.
I guess the only other way forward, if councillors have come with the same thinking that I've heard from Vanessa and Robbie and Gary, and there may be others in the room, that the only way to manage this would be to leave it to lie on the table until our next meeting. Is there I mean, I know the trust wants to get on and get some work done, Judith, but that would be the only other way to manage that if we haven't got if it's not clear for.
So, Madam Mayor, I guess the council could agree in principle to appoint a trustee.
Yeah.
At this point.
And then the nomination could come.
Work could happen. And we could be in a position in December to
December meeting.
Yeah, so another paper
to deal with that. So it's 3 weeks away.
Yeah. Does that give people a sense of comfort? Yeah. So I'll come back to you, Vanessa, if you want to.
I was just through the chair just going to add, does anyone have an appetite on the basis of Councillor White's comments? Does anyone around the table have an appetite to entertain one of us to put ourselves forward for that role?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think, again, I agree with everything that's been said. We came with that perception that we would move forward and agree in principle to appoint and agree to lease the soldiers block. But from the very conversation we've just had, I think we do need to put some thought into it and potentially bring it back.
Okay.
On that basis, I would move this recommendation.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I think we've already got a move.
Yeah.
Okay,
Vanessa.
well, I'd second it.
Yeah.
Just through the chair, subsequent to Councillor Harris's comments, can I have clarification, please, as to what process we will follow in order to determine how we are going to select that person? Because we are looking at next month. So are you requiring input, feedback from councillors or?
Madam Mayor, officers will circulate the trustee again, and maybe some core qualities that the trust might be looking for. And it will then go to councillors, and then you'll come back to the meeting in December and decide what you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Sorry, that was my point really. I'm
Yeah.
keen to hear what trustees, what skill set they'll know amongst themselves, what they've got and what the next phase is, to get some thoughts from them as well as to what they're looking for would be helpful.
Well, through you, Madam Mayor, that's difficult because at the moment there is only the 3 trustees, which are the holding trustees. And there's a place for Ngāti Kuri, so there are no other trustees.
I think it's, pardon.
And that I think it will be difficult to come up with a list of attributes because we will want varying attributes. So anyway, we can do our best really as to what that might look like.
Yeah, I think given the fact that councillors have come with an interpretation of the recommendation today, it's probably prudent for that to happen, to just give a bit more time and clarity around that. But I'm respectful of the fact that trustees have come together with to move this thing forward, because, time is also of the essence as well, and appointment of external and trustees needs to be considered once that formation and of structure is established. Tom, did you have your hand up?
In those 3 weeks, not only would we have to come up with the skills and attributes, we would also presumably need to approach the potential nominees to see whether or not they would accept it, were it to be voted on by the council.
I think we just need a wee bit of space to have that now. So, and let our staff consider, what is the purpose of the council appointment, and then we'll come back with that, with a bit more structure around that for the next
I'll
meeting.
just reiterate, this isn't the council trust, it's not something.
Correct.
The trust has determined that they wish council to appoint someone. They haven't set any criteria for that appointment. They've simply asked you to appoint someone so that council interests are looked after on the trust.
Yeah.
But in general terms, they're also looking for to build the name recognition on the trust and those sorts of things. So that's essentially what's happening here. So that's and council could appoint someone from external if it chose, or it could appoint internally. And the decision for you is that an external person going to be a better representative for council than someone that sits around this table.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I was probably going to make a comment in a similar vein, that representing council, as this trust gears up, and it may change over time, but I think that from my point of view, we're potentially looking at somebody of the right stature from around this table. To go forward, to represent the interests of the council, so knowledge, experience of that type of thing. So that's in my mindset when we're going forward. It might be external at a future time, but it's Ngāti Kuri, council and others.
Sorted. Okay, Vanessa, Pauline and Robbie.
Through the chair, Judith, if I was to express interest in nominating myself, could I communicate through to you what I feel my experience is?
Not my decision.
No, but would that process then be delivered back to the officers for that report?
This is the decision for this council. You need to work out your process and how you're going to decide. There's no role for officers. Like we can help you have some sort of process, but this is a private trust that's been formed that has provided a seat at the table for a nominated, council nominated trustee. How the council chooses to decide who that trustee is up to the council, and I wouldn't want to get involved in that.
No, that's right. Neither you should.
If councillors wish to nominate themselves, they should just send a message to Graham. And that will be raised at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. I guess that's the answer to the question I was asking. Thank you.
Pauline, Robbie.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I just wanted to, I guess, agree with councillor Harris's comments just in regards to, soon as Hamish made it really, really clear that we're looking to appoint someone to represent council's interests, then it is my feeling that for the initial period, then it should be someone from this table. And perhaps a way to make that feel, I don't know, more correct for people if an external is to be considered later, is to perhaps make it a shorter term. But I think, you know, those words to represent council's interests suggest at this early point, it should be someone from around this table, and then that position may then evolve into something else.
That's right. So, yeah. Yeah, I think we need to act prudently to support the settler trustees at this point, and there's no question to that. Robbie.
Yes, I'm with Tom with it, and that the trustee is the right person for the skill set. And I think there's people around the table here, and some of those people would be great, not me. But I can also think of several ex-councillors throughout the district who would be a great link as well. So to me, it would be helpful to have a short list of people to decide from, or something like that, because we don't know everyone in the district and their skill set, and I'm sure that the trust and the group will know what they want, type of skill set they want. That would be down a wee bit, rather than just, you know, someone with a hand up and go, and it might not necessarily be the best fit. So, you know, that's why I am.
I think it's important to also factor in that there's independent positions already stipulated on the trust, that those people of the calibre that you're talking about, Robbie, could also be considered once the settler trustees are established. So no question that there's people in our community and beyond, but they might be independent members. We're talking about an internal appointment here. Vince?
No, Vanessa, I'm not, but I feel we should actually put our mayor, she's our chair. I feel that, to me, it's a sort of a logical one to put our mayor as our representative of that trust. I don't know what people feel. I don't, leaving it sitting on the table is going to make much difference, but to me, you know, you've got a profile and you are our mayor, you are our chair. To me, would be the logical person.
I would agree with that too.
Leaving it sitting on the table is going to change. Just for this interim, if you're starting for your first on the trust, and it's a representative of council.
I feel a wee bit awkward sitting here actually chairing this, so I'm not really sure whether that's the right thing to do or not, but I'm comfortable. I'm happy for that. Thank you, Vince, for that confidence. But I'm conscious that if people want to have a full consideration around that as well, and I'll be happy for my name to go in the mix, but that's okay. Dave?
Since I won't be here at the next meeting, just listening and thinking about it. As you all know, I'm an impatient person and think, well, wait another 3 weeks, what are we going to achieve? And I probably agree in the initial phase that we need to have a direct line of sight to this thing from the council. And I've listened to at the start, we need profile. So I endorse what Vince is saying, that it should be Mari, the mayor, as on it. So if it lays on the table till next month, that's my thoughts. But I might probably, don't know what everyone else thinks, just get on and do it.
Okie dokie. Comment?
Sorry, and I apologise because I do miss the obvious. I thoroughly endorse what Vince has said, and that was moved. I would second that. I missed the obvious in front of face.
So we have a motion on the table.
Yeah.
Vanessa.
Yeah, that's right. So we'd look at the recommendation as written on page 28, and then we'd look at the process of appointment.
So there's a few pathways through this. You could vote on the or you you could seek a seconder for the motion. The motion will either get a seconder or it doesn't. Vanessa could choose to amend her motion if she wished to do so. I'm not putting words in your mouth, Vanessa. Or the motion could be seconded and then put, and then either won or lost on that basis. I guess at the moment, the motion is that the council appoint a trustee. So someone could then move a supplementary to appoint right now if they wished or not. Is that fair enough, Graham? You happy from a governance perspective?
Yes, that's correct, although I think councillor Harris did second that.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So it's been seconded?
Yeah, moved and seconded.
Okay, cool.
The recommendation as written on page 28.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're comfortable, yeah?
I
Yeah.
I guess once if it's carried, then there could be a subsequent.
So we've got Vanessa, your motion as written on page 28, and also the principal leasing arrangement, and we have a seconder for that. Are you all clear as councillors that we're going to move this motion as written? We understand it, we know what we're voting on, so all in agreement to that, please say aye. Aye. Those against? That's carried, thank you. In your hands now.
Sorry,
Thanks, Tom.
just a point of clarification. I had mention of appointing the trustee for 3 years, but most of us here, or all of us here, have actually got less than 1 year guaranteed.
That's right.
How do we reconcile representing the council in the best possible way when they may not be on the council for over 2 years of that?
Yeah. And I guess that would be just like appointing an independent to the district licensing committee or the museum board, or it would be a paper that would come to council after the triennium. It would run, Hamish?
Yes, I mean, generally speaking, I mean, you could deal with it by making the appointment to the triennium. And then in the new triennium, whoever's sitting around the table will then appoint someone else. Or if the same person's there and the council's still comfortable, then the same person, obviously. And that way it deals with that direct line of sight with the council.
Pauline and then Vince.
Okay, well, I would like to nominate Mayor Murray Black for a 3-year term to represent council's interest on the trust. And if I can just explain why I say a 3-year term, taking into account Tom's thoughts, I'm really confident that Murray, should you choose not to run at the next election or should you be unsuccessful, that you have the experience on trusts, on a number of trusts actually, and that you know our council and our position well. So I would feel comfortable nomination for a 3-year term.
Need to step back from this? Or is that, are we okay with that?
You can still chair, but probably best not to vote on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're happy to?
So I guess the nomination is moving.
I thought Vincent nominated.
I just made,
I'm happy
I
for Vince
I
to-
didn't nominate, I just made a
Yeah,
comment.
that's right.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Discussion.
Happy if Vince prefers to take that forward, that's absolutely fine.
Okay. So just, have you a question? Sorry, we're just getting tangled up with this.
It's an official nomination. Can I nominate myself here and now? And it's a difficult situation, obviously, for me, and I recognise that I don't have the profile of the mayor, but I have an arts experience, I have comms and journalism experience, and I was on the museum committee in Tauranga, and I have governance experience. So nothing personal, obviously, Murray, but I would like to nominate myself, and I stand by that nomination.
Okay. So we've got, do we need a seconder for that? How does that manage?
We haven't got a seconder for either.
Yeah, I know. So can we aim for getting a seconder for Pauline?
So just to be clear, I've nominated a 3-year term for Mayor Murray.
I'll second it. Thank you.
And then we need
And we need a seconder for Vanessa. Is that right? So
Madam Mayor,
self-nomination? How
it
does
would
that
have to
work?
be on the same term.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it was.
I'm happy with that.
In which case, Madam Mayor, it becomes a selection process. but if it was a different term, it would be a different motion.
Yeah, right, okay. So are you looking to self-nominate for a 3-year term, just to keep apples with apples? Okay. Do I need to second it for that? Self-nomination?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Happy to second.
Thank you, Karen. So we've got a mover and a seconder for that. So now that takes us to a position of a voting process.
Yep.
So do we need to nominate a adjudicator or whatever?
Well,
Or
it's
have-
just a show of hands, isn't it, Graham?
Yes, Madam Mayor, so there is process set out in the legislation around how to appoint members. So it's similar to any other appointment that you make to committees and chairs, etc. So I'm doing this off the top of my head, but there's System A and System B, which you're probably familiar with from other processes. We normally recommend System A, which means that it's like a preferential system, but it means that one of the candidates must get a majority of the members. But since we've only got 2, it works the same way anyway, because you would vote and see who had the most. And the idea is that, so System B is if you have multiple members, you can elect someone who doesn't have a majority because they might just have more than the other candidates. But in this case, we've got 2, so it's likely that one will have a majority by having more than the other. If we don't, so if there's abstentions and you don't have someone getting 6 votes, which is the majority, then you have another round of voting with the lowest one dropping out, but it's the same result.
Did you all take hold of that? You might just have to guide us through this step by step.
Question of clarity, please. So in that voting system then, is it appropriate or not for the nominees to vote? Normally when we do it around the council table, I'm thinking at Southwood Committee, as an example, the nominees do have the right to vote. So I'd like to clarify that.
Madam Mayor, there's no direct pecuniary interest here. And members do vote for committee memberships and chairpersons, things like that. So I would see this as being all members can vote for yourself. You can nominate yourself. So there wouldn't be any reason why you can't vote for yourself.
Right, clear? Question, Karen?
It's just a question of clarification. Since we're talking about a 3-year term and we have no guarantee of the roles that the candidate will have at that time, I wonder if we should be nominating Mari Black rather than Mayor Mari Black and Vanessa rather than Councillor Vanessa, because they may not hold those titles.
That will come back after the triennium, won't it?
Those are their titles currently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we use current titles.
Okay.
Yeah, good. It feels as if I need to step back from this whole process. Can I ask you to lead this? It doesn't feel quite comfortable, or is it conflicting, or is it?
I think it's fine, Murray.
Is it?
Yep. It might feel very comfortable, but yeah, as far as conflict of interest goes, if it was just you, I'd say you can chair it,
Yeah, okay.
but not vote. But now that it's a contest, then you can both chair it, and
Yep, okay.
we'll keep an eye to make sure you chair fairly.
Yeah, that's right. So the normal procedure would be that you would ask the nominated to perhaps give a couple of minutes presentation on what skills they might bring to a trust. So I'm guessing that would be normal procedure.
Yeah, that would be appropriate, I think.
Yeah, so if we'd like to do that now, maybe, and then we'll call for voting to a show of hands. Okay.
I guess I made mine very brief. I was on the museum committee in Tauranga trying to set up a contentious proposal for a museum. I've got journalism and PR and comms background. I've got an arts background. I'm studying law. I am in governance, and I'm very passionate about my district. I'm outside of Hammer Springs, which I think is pivotal to this role. I feel that I would definitely add value to this project.
Thank you. And likewise, I have been settlers on 2 or 3 trusts, so I have got significant governance experience. I did the Institute of Directors governance course last year, which provided some insights to the clear delineation between governance and management. I feel, as a long-term resident to the Hiranui district, incredibly passionate about this project, and I'm really keen to see that foster and grow and be a really important part of our shared history. And having just visited, that has given me a much greater insight to what this project can potentially do for our district. And I feel that actually the skills that I've just acquired through being present at Lekenwa and such like actually has given me a great insight. I do have some strong links also to some military connections, which are going to be really important when we consider independent trustees that are going to help move this project forward. Thank you.
Comfortable, I'll just vote if you.
Yeah, I think that's better. I would feel more comfortable with that. So
Through the chair, may I just, sorry, I will also add that I am a champion for tourism and economic growth in this district. 2 personal projects, pet projects for me. Thank you.
Right, councillors, we've heard from both nominees on this matter, and I'm now going to put the matter to the vote if there's no more questions or clarifications people are seeking. So first of all, Councillor McPherson, if you support Councillor McPherson as council's nominee to this trust, could you raise your hand, please? That's 3. And Mayor Black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you. I declare you the council's nominee to the trust.
thank you. Thank you for that. And actually, thank you, Vanessa, as well. I think that, you know, we all need to work together on this. This isn't a separation of roles. This is about us collectively joining hands and being collaborative as we step in and support the trust with their work. So thank you for your name coming forward. Thank you.
If it's okay with the council, I'll also just email the trust and let them know that Councillor McPherson was willing and has some skills that could be useful.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I was going to say. It's like the spread was quite.
Excellent. Hey, councillors, thanks very much for that. That was, you know, we don't often get situations that kind of question who we are and what we bring to our roles. But I'm, yeah, I think that we should have a shared sort of celebrate the fact that we've actually got an amazing opportunity in front of us. So thank you. We've got 20 minutes before we're going to break for morning tea, and I think I'm going to call Vanessa. Vanessa, you've got the Parnassus Hall external funding application, and this is on page 32 in our agenda pack, so welcome. Nice to see you. Thank you. We're all organised with having read this paper, so and I'm sure that it's been passed the Tribute Committee as well, so that's always good to get the grassroots information. But if you just want to give us some your perspective on the paper, that would be great.
Thank you. Some of you may not be aware, but as part of my role as the Community Development Facilitator, I also help our community with funding applications or funding inquiries, just where they can source funds from. So I've been talking with the chair of Parnassus Hall Committee for a wee while, Keith, and we've finally got to a point where he's ready to sort of launch and to get some work done on this property to make it weatherproof and to be able for our community to start using it. So as part of the funding application that I'm making to the Trust Community Foundation, it requires a minuted resolution from the committee supporting the application. So as the owners of the property, sort of leads to you guys for that. So the application is for a little bit over $25,000, and that is to repair the roof hall in the south wall cladding as well. So that will just make that nice and weathertight, and then they can continue with some other work. The predicament that these guys have is they actually have nothing in the bank because they've got no income. So they really are reliant on community funding applications to different organisations. So starting with the Trust Community Foundation, and then we'll just move on forward through that, because the bigger project in total is probably sitting a little bit under 300,000 for everything they want to do. Must actually comment that the chair has done a lot of work within the community and has obtained trade pricing and different bits and pieces. So it will be done very economically, but he's also worked with his community and has actually done approximately $80,000 worth of work off his own bat with some contractors and things like that in terms of the septic tank and stuff. So he is extremely passionate about making this building part of the community for a very long time.
Cool.
So that's probably it in a nutshell.
Cool. Vince, anything else to add from a community perspective?
I move the officers recommendation.
Sounds good. Thank you. You second it. Great. Thank you, Vanessa. We're really, no, let me put it first, just in case you run away and it's not done. If there's no further questions, we have a mover and a seconder to support the officer recommendation to apply for that funding. All in agreement to that, please say aye. Aye. Those against? That's carried. Now you can leave, Vanessa.
Great.
Yeah. Job well done. Good luck. I hope it comes through for you.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you. Radio councillors, that takes us to item 5.3. Welcome, Terry. Come and have a seat around the table with us. Terry, you've done a bit of work here and looking at that road naming situation. So perhaps if you want to just take us through the highlights or the points, and then maybe some questions, and then we'll look at the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Taking the report as read, the background to this is that council granted a resource consent for a 10-lot subdivision at 25 Osborne Road. It's a residential subdivision. As part of that, there was a right-of-way that was created with 6 lots, which needs to be named as per the road naming addendum and policy. The applicant put forward the name Josephine Way in homage to Mrs. Carter, who was part of the people who originally created Amberley that had the freehold land. The name was put forward to also to the South Ward Committee, and it meets the road naming policies, and the council officer supports it. Comes in with 14 characters, just short of 15.
Yeah, it's good. So, I mean, South Ward councillors will have seen this. It's been to the South Ward and some discussion around that. So thank you, Terry, for your report. I think it's quite explicit, but we've got a couple of questions coming. So thanks, Ross.
Thank you, Madam. Terry, just checking that lots 7, 6, 3 and 2, something like that, by the way, A and 3.
7, 6 and 3.
And 2, come off right away A and not B.
Lot 2 comes, the scheme plan has part of it coming straight onto the main road.
Right, yeah, so it'll be just 3 others.
Yeah, yeah, all the others come off it, yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good. Thanks, Ross.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pauline.
Yeah, look, just to the South Ward Committee and received endorsement there, and so I'm happy to move the recommendation as it's written.
Cool. That's great. Thank you.
I'm seconding.
Seconding. I'm going to move in a seconder for the officer recommendation on page 35 in your agenda pack. If there's no further questions to that, I'll put that motion. All in agreement to that, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? That's carried. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you
Well
very
done. Yep. Cool. So we've got about 10 minutes and we'll look at perhaps decision item 5.4, the curbside waste and recycling. So if I can ask Andrew to come forward. I know as councillors you had a workshop around that which provided some insights. So Andrew can take us through your report and we can have a look at your recommendation in a minute. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Good morning. As Madam, you said, this follows a workshop recently on the same topic. So the purpose of this report is for council to approve the method of curbside rubbish and recycling collection for the next 5-year contract. By way of a bit of background, council received a small number of submissions during the last long-term plan process requesting a wheelie bin service. Prior to the long-term plan being signed off, a high-level feasibility study was done looking at one option for delivering that service, and that particular study showed that that would result in a significant increase in cost. That second bullet point should say cost, not service, if the council was to proceed with that particular model. Subsequently, officers have undertaken a review of other council's methods to try and get an idea of what sort of costs some of those different methods might have if we applied them in Paranui. And the result was that all likely result in some sort of cost increase to the waste curbside collection service. We know that's waste and recycling nationally. There's some legislative change in process. Some of it's already done, resulting in the standardised curbside stuff collection materials. And then some is in the works and we're not sure what's going to happen with it, and the food scraps collection service. So during our workshop, 4 methods of collection were discussed and a bit of background provided and sort of some details about how they would work. We'll just go through the recommendation and then the reasons. And so the officer recommendations are that the council approves tendering the waste contract based on the existing user pays bag system for curbside rubbish and recycling collection over the next 5 years, structured as a 3+1+1 contract. This includes the provision for glass collection in Amberley as mandated by regulation, and the council instructs officers to prepare options for wheelie bin collection services for inclusion in the 2027 to 37 long-term plan. The reasons for this recommendation are that continuing with the current collection model enables our current low recycling contamination rate to be maintained, and to continue using our low-cost option for glass cartage and recycling. It continues to provide a user pays service where if you need to put out more rubbish, you have to pay for the collection of that rubbish via the bag costs. And it doesn't decrease the transfer station income, which has been a common issue highlighted with moving to a wheelie bin system. It continues to provide options for a rural collection via the official collection points. It doesn't require any immediate or significant transfer station like capital upgrades, the same as a wheelie bin system would. Part 2 of that is that the preparation of wheelie bin options for the 2027 long-term plan allows time for thorough system design, public consultation and the financial planning. Everything we've looked at has suggested that the financial component of this is reasonably significant. So to do it outside of the long-term plan would definitely need the annual plan consultation process. I've presented 4 alternative options there that were along the lines discussed at the workshop and the pros and cons for each, and I won't go through them in detail. Overriding for anything to do with wheelie bins, it always comes back to will be more expensive. And then there's also a discussion about whether it's possible to withdraw from curbside waste collection completely, and it is, but it would require some fairly substantial consultation because it would be a big change in level of service from what we've got in the waste plan and the long-term plan at the moment. All of this lines up with our waste management and minimisation plan, which is a statutory document that's due every six years, and some of the objectives from that plan are listed out in the legal and policy implications section. The financial considerations in the current long-term plan budget, we've budgeted on the premise that we'll continue with the current model, although there is some allowance for cost escalations with new contract and things. That service is funded via a targeted rate that's paid for by properties that are on the collection routes, essentially. And just in terms of engagement, we've noted that if council does choose to continue with the current method for the next contract, is that officers will prepare some detailed communication for the community just to explain what was looked at in terms of the Wellington options and the reason why it hasn't been chosen at this point, because we know there's some interest in it, and we know there's the expectation, particularly in that sort of Amberley area where people have come from, places where there is a wheelie bin service. So the intention is that if we don't go out with wheelie bins, we will provide a detailed, clear explanation to the community of why we're not doing it at this point.
And also that we're looking into exploring some options in that same comms.
Yes, I think that'd be an important part of the message.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
That's all I wanted to highlight. So I'll leave it to you.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. You had that information, and it's been pretty well articulated in the paper in front of us. So is there any questions for Andrew in regard to what you understand or what you read in the paper? And if not, I think the recommendation seems to be reasonably explicit from my perspective. So question, I think, coming from Robbie and then Dave.
I've got a question and a request. First question, when we were looking at the amps back in the day, I thought Hanmer came into the equation with the glass, or is that not now? 1,000 people or something involved.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. Hanmer is right on the borderline in terms of the requirement to do glasses based on the 2018 census data of people normally resident there, and I think for Hanmer it's just slightly below 1,000, although it may in the next census be starting to creep up there. But the one thing that we do have, I suppose, as an advantage is there is already a glass collection in Hanmer Springs.
The other thing was the second part about instructing officers to prepare options. Just like we've had local contractors come and speak to us. Just like to consider them in that equation, obviously including the excellent local contractor that's doing it now. But yeah, we can just bear in mind the options that might be close to home.
Okay, I guess that message is heard. Thank you. Dave, you've got a question?
Question, comments? How about 3+1+1? Is that locking us into the current system we've got? If we're thinking of change, I wouldn't want to think the workshop was a tick box exercise last couple of weeks ago. And you've obviously found out from how Carterton can provide a low-cost dual system by now.
Through you, Madam Mayor, no, I haven't had a conversation with Carterton yet.
Maybe you could tell what you do know about Carterton and how it's quite low cost.
The costs are reasonably low. Can you remember them off the top of your head?
Well, I just know that